How's it going, guys? You got Dance here. It's been forever since I've done a video, so anyways, cut right to the chase. You know, playing on my lovely game here. Well, it's not my game. The lovely game Mirrorverse here. A lot of people asking around, especially new guys that have started off with this game just now or within the last month or two, and they're like, what's the best team? What's the best team? What team do you use? What team do you use? And all this stuff, right? So, anyways, I'm gonna cut it right to the chase. There's no best team. Everybody says this is the most OP team, blah 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 blah, unless they spend lots of money on everything, and then they end up having their favorite three, of course, right? The way I see it, though, it all depends on your play style. And what I mean by that is it all depends on what you want to use as your main hero. So, also, we'll cut right to the chase, so we'll just go right into a match or whatever in that sense, right? So, hopefully this will be powerful enough. Yeah, let's play this one. Sure. What's the power level around? 9,000? Okay, well, anyways, so what I'm trying to say, though, is I'm just going to keep flipping back here. And, your main hero that you'd want to use, I guess, right? So, would be whatever you like, right? Everybody has their favorite, everybody has their least favorite, blah blah blah, and you're gonna have everybody scream out whatever you're gonna say is the best of the best and the worst of the worst, right? So, most people, what they do is they start with either a melee or a ranged character, right? So you'll select whichever one you want in there. And most of the time, it's going to be the one with your highest star level, probably with you starting off. So you'll probably start off your, Merida, unless you find out that you're going to be able to pull something with higher star levels. So in the end, for me, it's usually my most favorite. So I usually pick her, because that's just me, right? And with me, what I wanted to do is I wanted to support my main hero. So you want something that's going to help protect her. So, of course, what I wanted to use was probably a tank formation, right? So, what I wanted to use was her with a tank, and in the end, you would want to pick a good tank or whatever in that sense. And again, you're probably going to go with star levels. So, whatever's your best tank, be it Maui or whatever in that sense. But also, it's good to know what each tank does and which one's better AI wise, which one's better, tanking wise, or whatever you're trying to do with your main hero. So, say if I wasn't using Snow White and I was using, say, a Ranger or something like that, like say I went into here and went with a Ranger style or something like that, and say I wanted to start with Zerg, and a lot of people are going to say, use Zerg, he's the best, right? Another thing I want to say too on top of that is you want to start with probably your main pool characters first, because they're going to be the most common and easiest to get to 5-star astral or whatever in that sense. And we can go across levels and what's the difference between a 4-star and 5-star, etc down the road, but that's going super basic and I didn't think I wanted to do that. I just wanted to say that you really want to pick your main character, the one you're going to use on a regular basis, the one that you're going to level up the most, right? And the whole idea with your formation is to support that guy as best as you can, right? So it's also good to know what each character does for their specials and their talents and everything like that, and to learn about synergy down the road. And I'm going to go into another video with that later on. But the biggest basics is, my biggest rule of thumb that I've noticed that works the best is you basically want, let's see, I'll reset all this. Alright, so usually you want a tank, and you'll want a healer, and then you'll want either another tank or another healer, or say something for more DPS, basically a melee, or you'd swap out that melee for a ranger, or something like that, basically, right? Some people like going double support. Some people like going with pure tank and support. Some people like going with a melee or two and support if possible, right? Sometimes people go psychotic and they go with 3 supports, and I've seen that work not bad, but again, slow DPS depending on levels and stuff like that with your heroes, right? But with 3 healers, they're going to keep each other alive quite a bit, right? I've seen this formation. I've used this formation, as you can see, because I like this formation. But that's just me. I like this because it's chaotic and fun, but very spongy. Don't recommend it to everybody. But like I said, biggest recommendation, a tank, a healer, and then you want to use probably something else with that. Again, like I said, your biggest ideas of which tank, which healer you're going to ask now, it all depends on your main hero and how you want to support that hero. Each tank does different things for groups or for themselves. AI-wise, I think the best 2 tanks would be Genie, or probably, let me scroll down here. I like Triton nowadays. A lot of people like him, but he's not main pool. Wally is, though. So you can get Wally more often, and you can get him leveled up faster, right? And stuff like this, right? Yeah, you're all looking at all my powers. I'm pretty weak, you know. I'm not, you know, full end game because I don't have all the astrals up there, but you know, that all comes in time with everybody else, right? But anyways, I usually pick, like, Genie is fun for me. I like him now. Oogie, he's a good one. A lot of people like him. Sully, I got him up there. He's getting higher power pretty good, pretty fast. But, like, I leveled them all up like that, right? And then I've got Maui. Maui was fun. I used him when I was starting off this game really good, right? Mr. Incredible, a lot of people like. Going down the list, a lot of people like Simba. I'm trying to find him. Simba's also another good one. All these tanks do really good in their own respects, right? Baloo, actually, he can be pretty good. Be open-minded, right? Whatever works for you, and whatever you got the highest star level is probably what you're going to use first to try and push you as far as you can in this game, right? So, or top 3 power, right? But again, tank, usually a support, and then DPS. So that's usually what I'd probably use for a major, you know, story run or something like that. Now, after that, you're going with restrictions and things like that, etc., etc. When it comes to rift raids and when it comes to dungeons and when it comes to things like that. So in the end, you're going to want to level up everything down the board or get as much of a plethora of heroes to select from to make teams of basically the same formation of a tank and a healer and something probably DPS, right? So that's what I recommend to everybody down the board, no matter what. This is what I'd probably set up for anybody down the board, and I'd tell you level up your best 3 that way. Now, again, what's the most used? Aerial, probably for melee. I probably would want to lean towards saying Genie and Oogie are very well used in raids. Genie, I find, tanks very well early stage. But if you can get anything beefy enough, you're going to want something that self-sustains, like, say, a Sully that self-shields every ultimate, you know what I mean? Or Mr. Incredible, he's pretty decent that way. You know, something like that, right? Baymax might do a good job if you really want him to. Ursula, don't recommend her. Simba, I really do. Simba does a good job with his indestructible every so often and things like that, you know. But that's knowing your tanks and knowing what they can do. Maui, he's good for shielding everybody else when he does his specials, and he can get pretty good boosted defense too as well, right? Best healers, like I said, you're going to want to play around and all that, and it all depends on what you are using for your main hero. So for her, what I want to do for her is just boost up her attack, right? So most of the time I'm going with either making it so she can go faster with her specials more often, and then a good tank that's going to help with luring or something like that too as well, to help boost her specials and things like that, or everybody else's, because of Snow White's talents that I use, right? Again, it all depends on what you're going to use for a main. So say if I was going to use a Zerg I might want to use with him, I might want to use Sully, and then I might want to use something that's like good, like say a Scrooge or a Hero or something like that. And the reason being is just because of the way that they work together and with their specials and how they work with extra defense and things like that and all that cool stuff. And I'm always going to recommend use your main heroes before you use, say, limited heroes like, say, Skellington. Skellington, everybody's going to say, use Skelly, he's the best healer. And it's going to be like, well, I don't have him, or I have him so low level or low star level that he's not even usable, which is fine. But that's something you can do on the side to help boost up, right? You know? All my heroes aren't perfect, and they're not all top-notch, highest star level, so like everybody's gonna have different makeups for what they use because of what they've got, right? So, but in the end, you're gonna pretty much, if you get a balance of everything, you're gonna select your faves, and you're gonna use your faves, of course, right? But that comes with trial and error, and that comes with using them all, and that comes with experience, I guess, down the road, right? Like, my first team I used is not the team I use today. I'll tell you that today, right now. I didn't use Genie at all. Now he's one of my most favorite. I'll use him almost all the time now. Sully, another one. Hated him. Can't stand him when I was starting. But now I use him all the time. Same story, right? And then go from there. So, again, everybody has their own choices. Everybody has their own answers. But in the end, it's all depends on your heart, and depends on your style of play, and depends on how you want your heroes to be. And of course, all depends on what's the best ones you got. Sad to say it. So that's about it for tonight. I just thought I'd have a friendly discussion on hero selection and basically team formations and stuff like that. But there's no right or wrong way, guys. Seriously, nobody's gonna really, well, you're gonna have global really go after you about this, but hey, everybody has their favorites. There's people that I've seen even use like Tinkerbell as a main. Judy, a lot of people love her, you know. Scar, a lot of people like him too, you know. Like, there's no right or wrong answer nowadays, because now they're pretty much making it so all of them can probably play the whole game in the end. But I'm a melee fanatic, so I use these two as my first two and only two that I've been using. Starting to really like her. Starting to really like her too as well. But like I said, sometimes I'll go with Snow and a couple of these. That's fun too. You never know, right? Like, everybody has their own right and wrong way of doing things, right? So my way may not be the best answer, my way may not be the worst answer, but I know through trial and error, I know basically the best thing that's going to get you far and get you a lot of gains is a solid tank, a solid healer, and something that has solid DPS, whether it be a melee or a ranger. And like I said, a lot of people will ride this guy into the sunset too with Mr. Zerg. Teach their own. Buzz does pretty decent too, like I said. Every hero has their goods and their bads, but it all depends on what you find is your favorite and what you're going to use the most, and of course what's going to be the highest level. I mean, because you're going to be investing in these heroes yourself, right? So it's all dependent on personal choice. I can't really judge anybody for what they're going to say, right? But I can always tell you, rule of thumb, the best way I've gotten progression is to have a solid tank, a solid healer, and a solid DPS. And I stress it every single time. And I'm sorry to be redundant about it, saying 15,000 times about it, but that's pretty much my biggest summarization I can give you about this whole video. Sorry for wasting 15 minutes of your time, guys. Hopefully you learned a little bit, but thanks again for watching. Like and subscribe, and in the next video in a couple days or so, we'll be talking about what I like for end games and stuff like that, etc., etc. What's the best for rifts, in my opinions, and stuff like that from what I've learned through experience. So, again, thanks again. Have a great night, guys.